Caleb didn't raise his voice. He didn't slam anything. He just sat across from his boss in that glass-walled office, hands folded on the table, and said okay when he meant something else entirely. His vacation request, denied. Again. Third time in 14 months. His mother hadn't seen him since Christmas. She was getting older and lived 4 states away, and he kept telling her, "Soon, Mom. Things are just busy right now." Things were always busy right now. He walked back to his desk, sat down, and stared at his screen without seeing it. He had $340 in his savings account. He knew the exact number without checking. And somehow, that $340 felt heavier than it had any right to. He had $340, barely enough to breathe. That single number dictated how he stood, how he spoke, and exactly how much crap he swallowed from his boss. From the outside, Caleb had things figured out. 34 years old, a decent apartment in Denver, a marketing manager title at a mid-size firm that sounded solid over dinner. He drove a car he was still paying for, wore shirts that suggested competence, kept his LinkedIn updated. What he didn't talk about was the math. Every single month was a balancing act he was getting tired of performing. Rent took the first hit. Then the car payment. Student loans bled him out on the first of every month. Groceries, utilities, the gym membership he kept meaning to cancel but hadn't. A credit card balance that never quite hit zero. By the 26th or 27th of the month, he was already watching his account like it was a patient in intensive care. His boss, Hargrove, had done the math too. That was the thing about Hargrove. He wasn't stupid. Caleb was talented, reliable, good under pressure. But Hargrove had also figured out, somewhere in those first few months, that Caleb wasn't going anywhere. You could see it in the way he assigned the messy client accounts, in the way he moved deadlines without asking, in the way the 10 p.m. emails carried a particular tone. Not quite a request, not quite an order. Just the comfortable assumption that Caleb would handle it. And Caleb always did. His co-worker Diane had been at the company for 12 years. She ate lunch at her desk most days and had a dry sense of humor that came from seeing too much. One afternoon, Caleb made a vague comment about how the workload never seemed to even out, and Diane glanced up from her salad. "You can't bite the hand that signs your check. That's just how it is." She said it without bitterness. Just a statement of fact, the way you'd say it rains in November. Caleb nodded and changed the subject, but the phrase stayed with him the way certain uncomfortable truths do. Not urgent, just persistent. His uncle Owen came to visit in October, staying for a long weekend on his way through from New Mexico. Owen was 58, had spent 2 decades in project management, navigated a divorce, raised a daughter, and taken an early semi-retirement that most of the family found mildly baffling. He didn't have a Tesla or a vacation house in Aspen. He had a small property in Santa Fe, a garden he could not stop talking about, and a particular quality of calm that Caleb had always associated with people who simply had fewer things to prove. On the second night, they were in the kitchen, bad coffee from an old machine, rain doing its thing against the window, when Owen noticed Caleb checking his phone for the 4th or 5th time in an hour. "That Hargrove again? He wants the campaign brief moved up, wants it by tomorrow morning instead of Friday." Owen set his mug down. "Can you tell him no?" Caleb almost laughed. "Not really." "Why not?" "Because I need the job, Owen." Like, practically speaking, Owen looked at him for a long moment. Not with judgment, more like he was remembering something. "You know what separates people who can say no to their boss from people who can't?" He picked his mug back up. "It's not bravery. It's not even about being better at the job. It's just whether they have options. That's the whole thing. Caleb waited. There's a number, Owen said. It's not your retirement target. It's not buy a boat and sail to Portugal money. It's 6 months of your bare expenses, what you'd actually need to live, stripped down, sitting in a separate account. That's it. That's the whole strategy. 6 months of expenses. 6 months. You get there, and the whole temperature of your life changes. You don't even have to quit. Most people who build it never quit. They just stop being scared. He tapped the table once. Fear is the leash. That account is the scissors. Caleb thought it sounded almost too clean, too simple for the size of the problem. Owen had a way of doing that, on making things sound obvious that weren't obvious until you heard them out loud. He answered Hargrove's message that night. He always did, but something had shifted slightly, the way a door shifts when the latch is almost, but not quite, still engaged. The following Monday, Caleb opened a new savings account at a different bank from his checking. He gave it a name that made him grin in a slightly embarrassed way, a name nobody else would ever see. Then he set up an automatic transfer, $250 every payday, no exceptions. The first 2 months were fine. Month 3 was not. A flat tire on the highway outside of Boulder, $380. A dental filling he'd been putting off for almost a year finally ran out of patience. $315. His college friend Brendan got married in Nashville, which meant a flight, a hotel, a gift, 2 dinners out. By November, his account had gone from $900 back down to $170. He sat at his kitchen table on a Thursday evening, phone in hand, staring at the number. The transfer was scheduled for the coming Friday. He thought seriously about canceling it, about redirecting it toward the credit card, which at least had an interest rate that made it feel urgent. What was the point, honestly? Life kept swallowing the money before it had a chance to mean anything. Maybe Owen's strategy worked fine for someone who'd gotten an earlier start, or had a partner splitting rent. This was just how things worked when you were 34 and doing it alone. He didn't cancel the transfer. He told himself it was stubbornness, not optimism. Month 6, $1,100. Not impressive on paper, but it was $1,100 he'd never had sitting still before. Month 8, $2,200. His laptop started dying, the battery swelling, the fan making a sound like a trapped insect. He bought a refurbished one on installments and left the fund alone. At $2,000, the background panic finally receded. He noticed it in how he phrased his replies to Hargrove's late-night emails. He stopped typing, "Sorry for the delay," and started typing, "I'll look at this tomorrow." The words were still professional, but the apology had started slowly draining out of them. Nobody at work noticed, but Caleb did. Month 11, $5,400. To month 14, $8,500. Not 6 months of bare expenses, closer to 4. But 4 months was an entirely different country from $340. The Thursday presentation was one Caleb had spent 2 weeks building. Early mornings, one late night, thorough research into a demographic the client had always handled on gut feeling. He was quietly proud of it. The way you're proud of something you know is actually good. He stood at the front of the conference room. Hargrove, 5 clients, a junior account manager taking notes in the corner. The first 10 minutes went well, people leaning in. Then Hargrove interrupted, mid-slide. "This feels a bit surface level, Caleb. Did you actually do market research on this age group?" Caleb kept his voice even. "It's on page 9. Hargrove glanced at the deck. Didn't acknowledge it. Turned to the clients. "Well, make sure the final version has a little more depth." The clients nodded politely. The junior account manager studied her notes. A year ago, he would have stammered an apology and stayed at his desk until 2 a.m. to fix a problem he didn't create. Would have driven home white-knuckled, spent the evening rehearsing everything he should have said. This Caleb felt his stomach tighten, yes. But underneath the tightness, something steadier. Something that hadn't been there before. Something that didn't need the room's validation to feel solid. After the meeting cleared, he went back to his desk. He opened his banking app. He looked at the number. $8,512. And he didn't say anything to himself. Didn't make any decisions in that moment. He just sat with it for a minute. Then he closed the app and got back to work. But something had shifted. Not loudly, just quietly and permanently. 3 weeks later, he updated his resume for the first time in 4 years. It felt strange at first, like pulling a coat from the back of the closet and finding it still fit. He reached out to 2 former colleagues, casual, no urgency, made a profile on a job board, spent 40 minutes on it. He wasn't on fire. He wasn't panicking. He was just, quietly and without any particular timeline, opening a door. 2 months after that, a recruiter named Priya messaged him about a director-level role at a company in Austin. Better scope, comparable pay, and, from everything he could find, a different kind of culture. The kind where Glassdoor reviews didn't mention do more with less on the first page 6 times. He interviewed on a Wednesday, using his lunch break and a quiet corner of a coffee shop 2 blocks from the office. He ordered a coffee he didn't really want and talked to 2 people over video for 90 minutes. The offer came on a Friday afternoon. That same Friday, Hargrove called him into the glass office. "I heard you've been talking to other companies." Not angry, just flat. The tone of someone who had expected this not to happen. "I've been keeping my options open." "Yeah." Hargrove leaned back, the posture of someone used to being the one who held the cards. "I thought you were happy here." Caleb almost smiled, not out of contempt, more out of recognition, because he could hear the old pull of that sentence. The implication that wanting something different was ungrateful or disloyal, or somehow his fault. "I've learned a lot here," he said. "I'll have detailed transition notes ready by end of next week." He stood up, grabbed his mug, and walked out. The office hummed exactly the way it always did. Just a man who had options, using them. His first Monday in Austin, Caleb drove to the new office through early morning light with the windows down slightly. His phone buzzed on the passenger seat. "Owen, how's the new chapter?" He typed back one-handed at a red light. "Feels like someone finally opened a window in here." He wasn't living some transformed life. Student loans were still there. Moving had knocked the fund down to around $6,000. He wasn't anywhere near financially free in the magazine cover sense of the phrase. But he had a job he'd chosen, a manager who spoke to him like someone capable of solving problems, a Sunday evening that didn't feel like bracing for impact. He never called what he'd built an emergency fund. Too clinical, too boring for what it actually was. He thought of it the way Owen had once put it. Over bad coffee on a rainy night, the cost of having an opinion, because that's what the money had really bought him. Not wealth, not the ability to disappear to a beach somewhere, just the simple, quiet, surprisingly rare ability to say what he actually thought, to walk out of rooms that weren't working, to stop letting an account balance make his decisions for him. The automatic transfer was already set up again. He was still building. He probably always would be. But he was building it on his own terms now. And that, it turned out, was the whole point. Having savings doesn't make you rich. It makes you dangerous to bad bosses. It's about what the money does to the inside of your chest. The way a conversation feels different when you know you have a floor under you. The way you stop filtering every word before it leaves your mouth. Because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're calculating what it might cost you. You don't need to be wealthy to feel free. You need to be less trapped. Those are two very different mountains. Start with 1 month. Just 1 month of bare expenses sitting untouched in a separate account, with a name that means something to you. Then build toward 2, then 3. It won't be smooth. Life has a way of testing the wall before you've finished building it. Flat tires, dental work, someone you care about getting married in another city. Let it. Keep building. Every dollar sitting quietly in that account is a dollar that gives you a choice you didn't have yesterday. Caleb's fund started at $250 a payday and survived broken down cars, a filling he'd avoided too long, and a Nashville wedding. Yours might start smaller. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that the first transfer goes through. If any part of this story felt familiar to you, if you've ever nodded and said okay when you meant something else entirely, drop it in the comments. Quit letting your bank account make your decisions. Start hoarding your exit money today. Thanks for watching. See you in next video.